Hi everybody, I'm Shemane, and I'm so excited to bring this information to you today. I'm with Dee Harris, and she is a registered dietitian and nutritionist that literally has changed my life. And that's why how does it feel to change people's lives?
It's awesome. That's what keeps me going.
Because that's what you're doing, and that's why I wanted to bring this information to my audience. I wanted to talk about this book specifically, called Grain Brain. And I've been thumbing through it, trying to read and intake as much as I could, and it's just, every page just blows my mind. And I can't believe, here I am, I've been in the health and fitness industry for 30 years, well, mostly the fitness industry, but I didn't know what to eat. And I just find that, I know that there's other people out there like me who think they're doing the right thing, you're working out all the time, and that should be good enough, but it's not. Tell me the surprising truth about wheat, carbs, and sugar, your brain's silent killer.
Well, as a start, I'm very blessed to be working with David Perlmutter, who actually is the author of this book. And we do a lot of work in his office. He's a functional neurologist. So a lot of the patients that we see present with neurological disorders. So it could be Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ADD, ADHD, autism, whatever the spectrum is. We see MS patients, we see ALS patients, but also we see other patients who are trying to get healthy and who have a lot of food sensitivities, allergies, toxicities. It's a myriad of things that cause illness. Migraines, yeah. We see a lot of people. So actually, this book is Dr. Perlmutter's baby, because he's devoted his life to this. His father has Alzheimer's. He was a neurologist also. He also has the genes for Alzheimer's. So this is a personal mission for him. So he's been working on this for quite a few years as far as his theories, and now a lot of those things are being backed up with unbelievable science. And now is the time to present this type of book.
And what I started thumbing through and making little notes, and I started peeling back the pages, and most of my pages are dog-eared because there's so much that I want to talk about. But there's so much information about gluten and what gluten is and what it can do to your body. Let's start at the basics and tell us what gluten is.
Okay, well, the premise of the book, it's called Grain Brain, and the premise of the book is that grains, but specifically wheat and gluten, are causing a lot of neurological disorders in people, and actually a lot of gastric disorders, a lot of illness, including autoimmune diseases and things like that. But if we're really looking at the brain, he's seeing that people who eat wheat have all these weird symptoms, and they've been all over, and then all of a sudden they come to us, and he tests almost everybody for gluten sensitivity.
And how do you, because I've been tested for celiac, and I've tested negative, but I read, when I was reading in this book, it talked about that doesn't really matter. You can still have a gluten sensitivity.
True. And gluten, so the gluten sensitivity testing is quite distinct, because it tests, there's a lab called Cyrex, and the Cyrex test is probably the most accurate for sensitivity. It has a full panel, tests for a lot of different things in gluten and gliadin, which I'll tell you in a second. But people are coming back positive. 90% of our patients are coming back positive, even though they've been through the celiac testing and they came back negative on that. So quite frankly, we're taking everybody off gluten. And the way we do that is we identify where do you find gluten.
And I was shocked to find, when I was reading, that it can be in lotions, makeup, a lot of things. So it's not just wheat. It's also, tell us about what exactly.
Well, it's in wheat, barley, and rye.
Okay.
And spelt. And if you see breads that are sprouted wheat, beware.
And here you think, that's what just amazes me. Yeah, you think you're doing the right thing, and the whole grain bread is a better option than white bread. Well, if you had to choose, would you choose the white bread now?
I would choose no bread.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
I
there.
would choose no bread, or looking for gluten-free breads. Here's where you don't find large amounts of gluten, and of course they're measuring gluten based on parts per million. So in some grains we're still seeing gluten, but it's in such a low form you're not going to see a reaction to it. So basically those grains would be rice, corn, teff, millet, quinoa. So those are all, yes, quinoa. And the good news is when we're talking about rice and we're talking about eating out, I can tell people, well, instead of having pasta, you can have risotto.
Okay.
All right.
But
so
no quinoa.
You can, quinoa's okay.
Good. Okay.
Quinoa's okay. So when we're looking at those grains, those have very little gluten in them. And most patients will not react to those things. But the worst thing is the wheat, barley, and rye. Those are the things that we really have to watch. Gluten is not in buckwheat. So I personally use buckwheat flour whenever I'm thickening things, and I've gone gluten-free, so I'm really familiar with this. And I've been able to make substitutes, and quite frankly, you don't starve on a gluten-free diet.
But it is challenging, especially when you travel a lot. It's challenging to find those options. What are some of the things that you can eat that are healthy and good and fun? Like you can't have pizza, but you can have...
Well, you can't have pizza, but in a lot of restaurants now they're serving gluten-free pizzas.
Right.
So you can do salads, you can do vegetables, you can do meats, you can do fish, you can do well, as I said, all kinds of vegetables, potatoes, fruits. There's no gluten in those things. It's really just found in grains. And also, we have to look at the way the food is prepared. Because if you go to an Italian restaurant and you're ordering chicken parmesan, it's going to be floured, it's going to be breaded, it's going to be fried. And so that has a lot of gluten in it, even though chicken has no gluten in it. So we have to look at the way foods are prepared.
Well, I found that this one sentence just really blew my mind, and there's our timer. This one sentence, and I'll leave on this note. Babies born to women who are sensitive to gluten live with an increased risk of developing schizophrenia and other psychiatric disorders later in life. That just blows my mind. But we're going to talk about more in part 2. Go out and get the book Grain Brain. It will change your life. I'm Shemane. This is Dee Harris. Thank you so much for joining us today.